Hey gang, today we're going to talk about free will, which is the ultimate religious code. Okay, let's get into it. The definition of free will, according to the dictionary, is it is the power of acting without the constraint of necessity or fate, the ability to act at one's own discretion. We are not going to get into a philosophical deep dive discussion about what free will is. I will just say that I do not believe free will is actually a thing because I cannot think of a single decision that I make that either A is not already made by my subconscious before I even realize it, or, and also, that isn't affected by outward or external pressures. Free will really becomes an excuse with believers. Free will becomes the excuse for God never having to show up. The major religions have God or gods that value our free will so much that he, she, or it, or them, or they refuses to intervene. The free will of the assailant is valued over the well being of the victim. You know, believers don't like to come to grips with this, but this is an absolute fact. This actually fits really well for victims, families of victims, people that are dealing with times of grief and loss and tragedy. You know, the Bible says, lean not into your own understanding, and his ways are above our ways. That's not a direct quote. I think it's his ways are far above ours as the heavens are from the earth. Those are the sugar on the bitter sense of grief that this life occasionally spoon feeds us. Okay? In reality, where I live, in the country I live, not intervening or reporting an assault in progress is an arrestable offense and will get you prison time. If it's proven that I have walked by an assault of any kind that's being taken place, or a traffic accident where medical attention may be needed, it's proven that I walk away from that site without at least picking up the phone, okay, I'll go to prison for that. But we make excuses for this God creature to not ever have to show up in times of actual need. And the problem with lean not into your own understanding is really just a command to abandon your own critical thinking and common sense. Okay, I used to be a Christian, so I can say we short circuit our own thinking and we just give it to God. That's what I used to do. This makes excuses for God. This leads to making excuses for God and others in our life. It gets us off the track of what's right or wrong and puts right or wrong as dependent on the person who has the opinion rather than what right or wrong actually is. And we adjust to new circumstances. That's just human nature. When bad things happen, we find a way to deal with it. Our brains find a way for us to just go on because biologically we're going to keep on ticking no matter what happens to those around us. Theists of all major faiths believe that God or gods created us with free will as a prime motivator because God doesn't want robots. We have to have free will or we're just going to be robots like the angels. We hear this over and over and over. So, God created free will humans to ultimately take that same free will away for eternity future. And this is what theists never think about. There's going to be no sin in heaven. No one will have the ability to make a bad choice in heaven. It makes absolutely no sense, especially considering the unnecessary suffering that goes on this planet, that God would create a race of beings only to have most of them go into eternal destruction, just so they could have free will that He is ultimately going to take away for eternity future. It's just ridiculous. So when I was a Christian, here's how I couched it to myself. I believe that in order to get unique individuals that were not robots, God put us through this world to form each of us to be different and unique. Free will, evil, and suffering were just ingredients in a recipe that was too far above my pay grade to really fully realize. And what happened during my deconstruction is that free will became another sandy, loose brick in my wall of faith. Because as I look at the world around us, as I look at humanity, as I look into other individuals, I don't see free will and I don't see any sort of reward for a God creature to turn his face away from the suffering of not just humans, but the struggle of most of life on this planet. I hope you found this useful. Leave a like and subscribe if you did. Thanks. Send safely, kiddies.